I'm going to talk about something extremely serious right now, and it's that the Canadian government cannot stop spending. They are basically spending money like drunken sailors. Let me give you some numbers. These are really horrible numbers. The quarterly government spending, so every 3 months, is at 417 and 220 million. So that's $417 billion for a quarter. Now that is, no surprise, the highest on record, which surpasses, now let's just click on this, last quarter, which was the highest on record, which surpassed the quarter before it, which was the highest on record. And you can go all the way back to July of 2016 before it wasn't a new high. That's freaking scary. So all those quarters, every single one of them was a new high of government expenditures. Just to tell you what, compare the average government expenditure, right? Now this is obviously going to be influenced because over time it's going to go up, right? But the average government expenditure for a quarter is 227 billion. We're almost twice that amount of money. And it's looking pretty bad because not only was the last quarter huge, it was almost $55 billion over the previous quarter, which again was a high at its time. So what's the next one going to be at? Who knows? The government really needs to be shut down. Just like the United States right now, it shouldn't. This government just cannot keep money in its pocket. It just cannot. And the funny thing is, it doesn't have money in its pocket. Like if you look at the government revenue, which is based monthly, which is kind of odd, and you gotta, the monthly income for the government is 26.867 billion. There's a big, huge shortfall. So, for example, the government budget value is minus 1.113 billion. We're just losing money all over the place. If you want to look up these numbers, this is called trading economics. Just trading economics, and it pretty much leads you into the economic situation and records that the governments post for the world. I mean, you can look up any country and see what the government's reports are. Remember, this is by the government. So, but to continue on this vein, we're going to move on to the GDP. And GDP annual growth and stuff like that. GDP annual growth has been declining quarterly for 5 quarters in a row. Government expenditures going higher, GDP is declining. This is a really bad combination here, and we really have to vote out this government. This cannot continue. I mean, it's crazy. For example, if you're going to look at GDP growth, only services really has a good growth. A lot of other things do not. I mean, I mean, have a look at this. I mean, construction's down. Agriculture is down. Mining is a little bit up, but it's not very healthy. Transportation is down. And utilities is a little bit up. Now, the manufacturing is a tiny bit up. You know, considering where our dollar is compared to the Americans, and considering how much money the government is spending, manufacturing should really be taken off, right? Instead, it's almost the total opposite. It's not in a very good, healthy situation. And just let me concentrate a little bit on the manufacturing. It has been up and down for 2018, right up to, you know, right up to a few years ago, right? It's not. It has grown, but not grown when you think of the devalued dollar. And the whole thing too is that I mean, these are really bad numbers. Our trade deficit, considering how low our dollar is valued at, our trade deficit is $2.6 billion. My God, are you kidding? $2.06 billion. I don't want to be inaccurate there. $2.6 billion. $2.06 billion. That is a huge trade difference considering where our dollar is. Our dollar being weak like this, that's why some countries actually devalue their dollar, because they want more trade. Here is Canada. We have a really devalued dollar. I mean, check our dollar versus the euro. Check our dollar versus the American dollar. It is plummeting, right? And yet, we cannot sustain a trade with anybody. Really bad news. I don't know. You know, there was a lot of, when Trump got elected, there was a lot of Democrat celebrities and stuff that said they were going to move out. And they didn't, of course. They're enjoying a pretty good economic revival in the United States. But here in Canada, I do not see that happening. And if Trudeau gets in, I truly think it is time to really consider where you want to live. Canada was a great place, but right now, I do not think I don't think the future is very good for Canada, based on these numbers. And there's more. There's a lot more if you want to look into it, but they're not good numbers at all. And you know, like especially like something like our balance of trade, when you consider the value of the dollar, it's not very good at all. Anyway, it concerned. You know, one step in the right direction is get rid of this government. This drunken sailor spending spree government has got to go. Okay, you cannot squeeze more tax revenue, basically, because you're basically killing off businesses, right? And so, I mean, the only way, and we got to get this back down, because they're very, when the government spends so much money, it destroys private enterprise, and this happens every single time. Okay, government's basically competing with private enterprise, where it doesn't cost you anything. When private money is spent on something, it doesn't cost you anything except if you buy their products. But now, when government gets involved, it costs everybody. Okay, it costs companies, it costs citizens, it costs taxpayers, it costs, you know, the devaluing dollar is costing us. So, I mean, it comes to a point where we really have to decide, what are we going to do? Are we going to continue with this government, or are we going to elect another government that's going to be giving back to the people so they can have money in their pocket, and none of this government sponsored everything? Okay? Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.